Hey amazing artists, Mrs. Parven here, and today I'm going to talk to you about printing. Printing is an artistic technique where you are transferring an image from one thing to another. You can have something called a monoprint, which means you do it once, or you can make a master and do multiple copies. We're going to learn about both and do some projects using each of those techniques. Let's get started. Printing has actually been around for a long time. It started in Japan, and artisans would cut into wood and then put the inks and dyes on the master copy of the wood to make beautiful scrolls and prints. Printing became really popular in the 1960s with the art of Andy Warhol, like you can see on the right. So for your first choice, we're going to do a monoprint using something really fun. Bubbles. Who doesn't love bubbles? This is a really easy and fun technique, and all you're going to need are a few materials that you can find in your kitchen or around your house. Let me show you how. So for the color part of these bubble prints, you're going to want to use food coloring. If you don't have food coloring at home, you could use liquid watercolor. So I have liquid watercolor. If you don't have this, which a lot of you probably don't, you can watch the DIY liquid watercolor video on my website to learn how to make some out of magic markers. You could also use just washable tempera paint like this. I wouldn't use acrylic. It's a little too thick for this process, so just a regular tempera paint. So I've gathered everything on the tray here. You're going to use about a half a cup of water. I have 2 containers here because I'm going to make 2 colors. So just put the water in the bowl or container, a little more in this one. And then you need dish soap. Any color or brand is fine. If it's blue, if it's green, if it's clear. You just don't want creamy soap. So hand soap would be fine too, as long as it's not creamy. About a tablespoon in each one. That was a lot to remember, so here are the amounts just for reference. Okay, so it's going to be time to add the pigment. I'm using liquid watercolor. It's a little more watered down than food coloring, and you want to kind of stir it up, and then you're going to blow in with the straw to make huge bubbles that come right up to the edge of the bowl like this. Whoa, so cool. Then we're going to grab our paper, and we're going to try and catch those bubbles on the top surface of the paper like so. Just tap it gently. So here's a quick tip when you're blowing the bubbles. You want to take a deep breath in and then blow through the straw like you're blowing out a huge birthday cake of candles through the straw. And that's how you're going to get those really big, light, fluffy bubbles. Like that. Remember, don't drink the bubble solution. Yuck. So I noticed the color wasn't dark enough. I'm going to add a few more drops of this liquid watercolor. Like I said, you probably won't need to add as much if you're using food coloring or paint. Take a deep breath in, blow out until those bubbles rise to the top edge. And then you're going to quickly lay your paper on the top and press down to catch those bubbles on the surface of the paper like so. Let's have a look. Oh, pretty good. So now I'm going to add this blue. I'm blowing big bubbles. Look at how tall they are. And I'm going to just blot them all over the paper and try and catch those bubbles. And ta-da! Wow, it's looking really cool. So you're just going to keep going until you fill your paper and you're happy with the way it looks. And then you're going to let it dry. Here's the finished bubble print. I love how the colors overlap and it almost looks like a planet or tie-dye or something like that. You could do all kinds of things with this paper or just leave it the way it is. I can't wait to see how yours turns out. So the second printing technique I'm going to show you is also a monoprint technique, but instead of using bubbles, we're going to use shaving cream. The shaving cream is going to create a little bit of a thicker surface, and the color is going to adhere to your paper in a different way. So it's really a lot of fun. Roll up your sleeves. We're going to get started. So I've lined a cookie sheet with some foil. You could just put foil on the table. Give the shaving cream a good shake, and you're going to spray it right onto the foil. You don't need too much because we're going to spread it out, so about that amount should be enough. And then you want to spread it over the surface of the foil. You could use a popsicle stick, a chopstick, a ruler, any kind of straight edge like so. Or if you wanted to, you could even use your hands. So keep spreading it out until it's about the size of the paper that you are printing onto. It's about 1/4 inch thick. You know what? I think I'm just going to abandon this stick and use my hands, just like this. That's why we have the paper towels handy to wipe off when we're done. There we go. So it's all spread out on the surface of my foil. And then you're going to just add a few drops randomly of your food coloring. I've chosen 2 colors. You could absolutely use more than 2 colors if you wanted, but just a few drips here and there around the shaving cream like so. So you're going to take a pencil or a popsicle stick and you're very gently going to swirl the color into the shaving cream like this. You probably don't want too much of the foil showing underneath, and you don't want to stir it too much or it's just going to mix the colors and you won't get that nice tie-dye effect. So just keep going just like so. Similar to the bubble technique, you're going to lay your paper, you want sort of a heavier white paper, right on top of the shaving cream, and you're going to gently press like so to pick up all of that pigment. Then you're going to peel it back like this. Oop, I'm going to catch a little bit more, so don't be afraid to do that, and peel it back like this. Okay, so I'm going to lay this down. I move the tray out of the way. Now you want to get that straight edge. I have a piece of cardboard. You could use a ruler, a credit card, and you're just going to scrape that off and just push it off the paper like this to make your print. Isn't that so cool? I love the way this looks, just like this. Here's the finished print. Just like with your bubble print, you could turn this into a card or into another picture, cut it up for collages. Really, anything goes with these beautiful printed papers. So for the last choice, we're going to actually make what we call a master, where you can do multiple prints of something. And we're going to use a foam tray or a piece of foam like this. This is a foam meat tray from the grocery store. Obviously, you want to make sure that it's clean to get started. And we're going to actually etch our design right into the tray so that we can pull multiple prints off of it. I'm going to show you how to do it. So we actually call the master in printing a plate, and there's 2 types. The one on the left is called intaglio, which means you etch a picture into something. The other is called relief printmaking, where a surface is raised in reverse, kind of like what you would see on a rubber stamp. I've already made a drawing of a zebra. This is what my print is, and I'm going to etch it into the tray. You don't want to use the back. See where the writing is? You'll get a bad print that way. So the flat side, and I've cut the paper to fit inside the tray. I'm going to trace right over that drawing with my super sharp pencil. I'm going to press really, really hard like this. Pressing hard is going to leave an indentation in the foam underneath. So it's really important that you continue pressing hard. Notice I'm using my other hand to hold the paper in place so it doesn't slip slide all around. And those smaller details, I'm just using smaller pencil strokes. Really press nice and hard till you go all the way around your picture. After you've traced on the paper, you're going to set that to the side. And now you can faintly see the image of my zebra peeking out. We want to make that even deeper, so we're going to trace over that again, pressing really hard with the pencil, being careful not to poke through the foam. And you're gonna go all the way around. This you can just set to the side. We don't need it anymore. And just keep going until it's finished. Here it is. First, I'm gonna show you how to do a marker transfer print. And basically all you're gonna do is you're gonna color in your drawing. Go right over the lines as if you were a coloring book. And you're going to, you don't even have to press very hard. You're just gonna add color to the entire picture. Make sure you stay on the image itself. So I've colored my whole image in on the tray, and I've cut some paper that's going to fit perfectly. You want to just lightly dampen the paper with a little bit of water. If you don't have a spritz bottle, you can just run it under a sink and wipe it down with a paper towel. You don't want it dripping wet, just damp. You're going to lay it right on top of your image, and then you really want to rub it, rub, so that the image will transfer onto the paper. You're going to actually rub it in longer than you think, but you'll start to see the marker kind of show through the paper. You peel it back like so, ta-da! And there you have your marker transfer intaglio print. To make another one, you just spritz down or rinse off the tray, wipe it off with a paper towel, and then you can start all over again because now you have the master plate and you can keep pulling prints from it. So another way we can make an intaglio print is with paint. I'm going to shake it up, and you want the teeniest, tiniest drop of paint, very little paint for this, barely put any on. And I'm going to spread it with a brush. If we were in the art room, we would spread it with something called a brayer, which is a roller, but we don't have that. So I'm just making do, and I'm going to spread it all over my image with the paintbrush like so. So I'm just finishing it up right here, and I'm going to get ready to make my print. Notice the paint is on very, very thin here. And you could use colored paper for this. I have copy paper. I love making prints on copy paper because it's a lot thinner. Just like with the marker transfer, you're going to rub like crazy. I'm going to just grab a brayer to show you what it looks like. This is a brayer, so you could also roll it like this. The knuckle rubbing method works just as well as a brayer. Again, you really want to take the time to make sure that your image is transferring from the foam tray onto the paper. So a good 20 seconds or so usually should do it. Let's peel it back and ta-da, there it is. Here are the two finished prints I made, pulled from the same foam plate. There's really no limit to how many prints you can make off of the plate. And what I love about printing is the variety that you get. It depends on the colors you choose, how hard you press, how much or how little paint you put on, and so on. I can't wait to see your prints. Don't forget to send me pictures of your completed projects when you're done. And remember, stay awesome, keep smiling, and know how much I miss you. Bye.